In an era of bloated strategy games drowning in complexity, one Total War title stands as the perfect example of why less is more. Shogun 2 Total War didn't just capture feudal Japan, it captured the very soul of strategic warfare. And today, we're diving deep into why this 2011 masterpiece remains the crown jewel of the Total War franchise. Welcome back to Gamicality, where we dig into the games that actually matter. Today we're talking about a game that doesn't just simulate feudal Japan, it makes you live it. This is Shogun 2 Total War, and if you think you know what strategy gaming can be, this game will remind you of what it should be. What amuses me most about my most recent time playing is how I cannot start a Shogun 2 playthrough without role-playing in my mind. Something about this game grips you and sucks you into its world in a way that other Total War games simply cannot manage. There's an emotional depth here that transcends the mechanical act of conquering territory. Jeff Van Dyke's soundtrack does heavy lifting in bringing this into something grander than just a game. When I'm going about my day, even when I haven't played Shogun 2 in months or even years, I find myself listening to its soundtrack constantly. The faster battle music when I'm at the gym, the softer contemplative pieces when I'm doing yoga or taking a walk. There's more here than just systems, numbers, or spreadsheets running in the background. The Japanese aesthetic lends itself to deeper interpretation than the battle-oriented Roman or Hunnic installments, which aesthetically push you towards a more ruthless attitude. Sure, in the end you are painting the map in your faction's colors all the same, but how you think about going about it makes all the difference. We're not robots, we engage with the topics fed to us. You are what you eat. Even though the characters are just portraits, these portraits are so well done that you start to bond with them in the family tree of your clan. That's where Shogun 2 shines. You find yourself making the characters speak, attributing thoughts and desires to them. This becomes a sandbox of emotions that sets it apart from other Total War games. The diplomacy might be little more than Mount and Blade's take on it, mainly about war or not war. But there's a neat trading system, military access, alliances, money exchanges, and you can marry off characters. You start caring about these digital faces because the presentation makes them feel real. Now, the campaign. That's the heart and soul of Total War games. I'd rather have only the campaign map than only battles with no meaning surrounding them. Total War battles are the cherry on top, but the campaign is what drives our inner desire forward, the desire to conquer and unite the islands of Japan. This campaign is something I genuinely love. There's a faction to choose for every playstyle, some with harder starting conditions, some with easier ones. Each of them have small bonuses, like cheaper bow units, stronger cavalry, more farming income, and so on. Nothing to write home about individually, but just enough to put a different spin on each playthrough, enhancing replayability, of which Shogun 2 is bursting with. The variety in starting positions creates fundamentally different strategic challenges. Each campaign tells a different story. Provinces are independent in this Total War installment, meaning two cities next to each other do not influence each other economically or socially. I much prefer this path, as each province is a project in and of itself. Conquering new lands means focusing on each new city and giving it life, or even a makeover. There's something deeply satisfying about taking a neglected settlement and transforming it into a thriving economic or military hub. You're not just expanding numbers on a spreadsheet again, you're crafting the infrastructure of an empire. Once you've conquered lots of cities, there can be lots of micromanagement, which could have been done a tad better through UI enhancements, similar to Civilization V's enhanced UI mod. And just like Civilization, your turns begin to take some time. But this isn't a flaw, it's part of the meditative quality of the experience. Each turn requires thoughtful consideration of your economic development, military positioning, and diplomatic relationships. The economy is simple and straightforward, which keeps the focus on the strategic decisions rather than getting bogged down in complex resource management systems. The gameplay loop is sleek. There's a great flow between building up your towns and provinces to establish a reliable income stream, building and upgrading new armies, and conquering new cities. But what makes it brilliant are the dilemmas. Managing your number of armies over increasingly larger lands, having to position some armies defensively in your hinterland due to the threat of naval invasion at any time, and trying to maintain a stable power base while expansion beckons. The looming endgame, you versus everyone else, forces you to think ahead and plan how you go about conquering Japan in order to have front lines that facilitate your defense better once it's about to get real. This isn't just mindless expansion. Every territorial gain needs to be evaluated for its defensive value when the inevitable coalition forms against you. Do you push north toward the political center or secure your flanks first? Do you prioritize coastal provinces for their trade income, but knowing they're vulnerable to naval assault? Yeah, naval invasions are a constant threat that prevents you from simply turtling behind land borders. You need to maintain coastal defenses, naval patrols, or accept that certain provinces might be temporarily lost while you deal with threats elsewhere. This creates a dynamic strategic environment where no position is ever completely secure. Every decision carries weight, every expansion has consequences. The agents, Metzger, ninja, monks, and more have lots of personality and great abilities that add layers to the strategic gameplay. A well-placed ninja can open up enemy cities for easier conquest, while Metzger help maintain order in your expanding territories. These aren't just stat boosters, they're characters with distinct roles in your empire story. Let's talk about why the combat actually works, because this is where a lot of people miss the point entirely. Many have negatively spoken about Shogun 2's unit variety compared to other games, especially the more modern Total War offerings. The unit variety is quite a bit lower, though I'd go as far as saying that the modern offerings have a dizzying amount. With dozens of factions on the map, I cannot try to memorize each unit's strengths, weaknesses, speed, playstyles, and so on. For a competitive scene, that's all well and good, though Shogun 2's streamlined approach of offering lots of units, but almost the same to everyone, with some specializations offered, is brilliant. In the heat of battle, at a glance, I know what the enemy's units are capable of and how to fight against them, because they are the very units I'm using myself. No discussions about overpowered or underpowered factions, about tier S or F faction matchups, an even playing field to focus on actual strategy. I don't need to worry if my spear infantry is as good as my enemy's spear infantry. There are no heroes or legendary elements. We're grounded and down to earth. It's realistic, not flashy, and purely strategic. The units on display are very fun and all serve their niche. From melee-focused samurai to anti-cavalry yari, to the bows, cavalry, and siege units, they all just feel more polished than most other Total War games. Sieges are a relatively messy affair that don't place as big an emphasis on environment as they could. Some more unique castles and locales could have been great, but the core siege mechanics work well enough and the focus remains on tactical positioning and unit coordination rather than exploiting map-specific advantages. The sea battles, honestly, are more of a chore. I find myself automatically resolving their outcome more often than not. There's unit variety there and interesting strategies, but it feels like an add-on to land battles rather than an integral part of the experience. Visually, Shogun 2 has aged remarkably well. It's not ray-traced, nor are the models high poly, but everything is so clean that if you play it on a high-resolution monitor, you'll be amazed how well it's aged. It's crisp with beautiful colors and art style that prioritizes clarity and aesthetic cohesion over raw complexity. I love all the unit portraits, the campaign map in spring, summer, and fall, the images of your buildings. There's an artistic vision here that touches deeper than mere technical specifications. And the seasonal changes aren't just cosmetic, they affect gameplay and create a living, breathing world. Spring is a great time to declare your next war, as the cold of winter costs your armies lives. But the graphics start to get muddy in foggy battles, and the campaign map during winter loses some of its beauty. That's the point for sure, but it's not as visually appealing. Fortunately, winter is only a fourth of the playtime, and the other seasons more than make up for it. The voice actors display such fire, whether they're delivering battle commands or speaking on the campaign map. There's a genuine passion in the delivery that sells the drama of feudal Japan. The audio design extends beyond just voice work. The clash of steel, the thunder of cavalry charges, the whistle of arrows, the rumble of firebombs and catapults. Every sound effect serves the atmosphere and helps immerse you in the period. But again, it's Jeff Van Dyke's soundtrack that truly elevates everything. This music is so fascinating, I can't stress that enough, and does such heavy lifting in bringing this into something grander than just a game. The compositions capture both the contemplative nature of Japanese aesthetics and the brutal reality of warfare. There's a musical storytelling happening that enhances every moment, whether you're managing your provinces in peacetime or commanding troops in desperate battle. In times of ever-increasing graphics card prices and turmoil over recommended graphical settings and the newest games becoming unaffordable both in their purchasing price and hardware requirements, especially low-end gamers can rejoice in having such forward-thinking and good-in-their-core games at their disposal for a very low price during basically any Steam sale. Even the weakest computer right now will run Shogun 2 at great quality without any hiccups. High-end gamers will find that while there is native 4K support, the UI doesn't scale well and third-party solutions are needed, though they exist and can easily be implemented. This accessibility without compromise is something modern big studios have largely abandoned in favor of pushing hardware limits for diminishing visual returns, apart from the obvious esports titles. The modding community remains surprisingly active, with Steam Workshop integration making enhancements as simple as clicking subscribe. From technical improvements to complete gameplay overhauls, the community continues breathing new life into this classic. There are mods that enhance the AI, improve graphics, add new units and factions, and even total conversion mods that transform the game into entirely different historical periods. All of this, and we haven't even talked about its expansions, both as DLC and standalone. Rise of the Samurai being my favorite, with exciting new gameplay systems, transforming the way you think about the base game. Fall of the Samurai introduces gunpowder warfare and steam-powered ships, creating a completely different tactical environment while maintaining the core appeal of the Shogun 2 formula. The replayability is endless, as evidenced by the fact we're still talking about it right now. Each faction offers genuinely different strategic challenges, the different victory conditions create different approaches to conquest, and the emergent storytelling through the campaign ensures that no two playthroughs ever feel the same. This is a game that respects your time, while offering virtually unlimited depth for those who want to master its systems. Shogun 2 Total War represents something we rarely see in modern gaming. A perfect marriage of accessibility and depth, of atmosphere and strategy. Creative Assembly achieved something remarkable here, creating not just a strategy game, but an emotional experience that grips you from the first campaign turn to the final victory. This is more than a game about conquering Japan. It's a meditation on leadership, honor, and the cost of ambition. It's about the relationships you build and break, the sacrifices you make for power, and the weight of the crown you seek to wear. The game understands that strategy isn't just about moving pieces on a board, it's about the human stories that emerge from those decisions. What sets Shogun 2 apart from other Total War games is its understanding that limitations can be strengths. By focusing on a single culture and time period, by streamlining unit variety while maintaining tactical depth, by emphasizing atmosphere over spectacle, Creative Assembly created something cohesive and convincing in a way that broader, more ambitious entries often fail to achieve. While newer Total War games pile on complexity for complexity's sake, drowning players in endless faction mechanics and unit rosters, Shogun 2 understood that true strategic depth comes from mastering elegant systems, not memorizing encyclopedic databases. It's the difference between depth and complication, between meaningful choice and overwhelming options. Whether you're a Total War veteran looking to remember what the series once stood for, or a newcomer seeking the perfect entry point into strategic gaming, Shogun 2 demands your attention. This is a game that respects both your intelligence and your time, offering immediate accessibility with virtually unlimited depth for those willing to master its intricacies. Fire up Steam and grab it during the next sale, because it's almost always on sale, and discover why after more than a decade we're still talking about Shogun 2 as not just the best Total War game, but one of the finest strategy games ever created. The way of the samurai awaits, and once you experience this masterpiece, you'll understand why it continues to captivate strategy gamers around the world. What's your favorite Total War game, and how does it compare to Shogun 2? Let me know in the comments below, and if this retrospective convinced you to revisit feudal Japan, I'd love to hear about your campaigns. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into gaming's greatest classics, because at Gamicality, we believe the best games are the ones that stand the test of time.